whole lot of theories going around about Ant-Man and the Wasp right now. From the trailers, we know that Hank Pym has managed to open up the quantum realm to further explore it in an attempt to save his wife Janet Van Dyne, who had become lost back in the 80s on a mission when the two of them were the first Ant-Man and Wasp. The trailer for the sequel to the hit Ant-Man film also gave us another look at Scott Lang inside the quantum realm, and we know that Pym has now advanced his tech to make more than just the suit decrease in size. There's a clip of Evangeline Lilly's Hope Van Dyne driving around in a shrunken vehicle with Michael Pena's Lewis, with the vehicle returning to its normal size shortly afterwards. So all in all, there's a lot of information to process, and much of it has left fans wondering how all of this will tie into the overall MCU narrative after what went down in Avengers Infinity War. So today we are exploring the top 10 Ant-Man fan theories that could be true. Also, heads up guys, this video is filled with spoilers for Infinity War, so heads up, you've been warned. In at number 10, the Infinity War absence. One user on Twitter, named Upstart Chambak, tweeted out this theory. Ant-Man and the Wasp weren't in Infinity War because in going to the quantum realm, they discovered that the quantum realm is like a web between not just particles, but also the very foundation of the multiverse, and in turn they became trapped on an alternate Earth. Now the idea behind this is that the quantum realm can't be touched by Thanos. Space and time are irrelevant, therefore the stones cannot affect what lives within it. This theory speculates that the two of them just so happened to be in the quantum realm when Thanos snapped, making them safe. But perhaps it caused Hank Pym to be dusted, which is why Captain Marvel's presence and her relation to the quantum realm, more on that later, is so important. That being said, Sebastian Stan has revealed to The Independent recently that both Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays Janet Van Dyne, will be part of one scene where everybody is there. Everybody being like all the heroes in the MCU. Of course, Stan couldn't talk about the context of the scene or what went down, so who's to say that they won't be dusted, leaving the younger Ant-Man and the Wasp to help save the universe. Up next, number 9, dusted. Speaking of being dusted, one popular theory circulating online is that at least someone will be dusted by the end of the Ant-Man and the Wasp film. While our money is on Hank because of that point that we discussed in our last theory, there's a lot of speculation that it'll be Hope that ends up getting dusted, giving Ant-Man some major incentive to want to help the Avengers. The film has very much been painted as having some serious rom-com vibes, despite director Peyton Reed stressing that this is not the case. And there's no doubt that Hope and Scott will have some flirtatious moments thanks to that kiss at the end of the first film. So that would be pretty painful for fans, wouldn't it? That being said, Evangeline Lilly has filmed scenes for Avengers 4, but has noted in the interview that she shot significantly less scenes than Paul Rudd. And based on that last Sebastian Stan leak from our previous number, it seems likely that regardless of who's been dusted, we'll be seeing all of our favorite characters together again all at once. In at number 8, everybody's tiny. Another theory concerning dust in our number 8 spot here. Another Twitter user by the name of Vipya Bay, which I'm probably mispronouncing, tweeted out, "What if those who dissolved are shrunk into quantum realm? Is that possible?" I mean, that's a good question. Based on what we currently know about the quantum realm, it's hard to say. But considering how Marvel key creatives keep boasting the unlimited possibilities that the quantum realm opens up, and if our heroes were dusted into small enough particles, could that mean that there's tiny chunks of them floating around in the quantum realm just waiting to be pieced back together? Seems like a lot of work. That being said, based on the aesthetics of the dusting process that we saw in Infinity War, it seems like that's a whole lot of bits of character that got real tiny real quick. Not like the way that Scott shrinks down as one whole person. Safe to assume that they're probably just dead. And at number 7, Ghost and Bill Foster. The first Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer ushered in the introduction of two new yet familiar characters to the MCU. Ghost, who was originally an Iron Man villain, and Goliath, aka Bill Foster, who was played by Lawrence Fishburne. While many have speculated that we likely won't see Foster suiting up since Scott Lang is no stranger to getting real big in size, there are a few theories as to why the MCU is introducing the character now, with the most obvious being that he is an expert when it comes to enlarging. Get your mind out of the gutter. Which is the key to getting out of the quantum realm, as Scott discovered in the first Ant-Man film. Foster could act as a consultant to Pym when it comes to sorting out how to better navigate the quantum realm and safely return. But another theory concerning Ghost in tandem with Foster has also surfaced, the idea that she might be his daughter. We know that Ghost's origins will be changed from what they are in the comics to include the character, now a woman, using stolen Pym tech to get her powers, which somehow includes interacting with the quantum realm to do so. But how would she know how to do that, aside from being a corporate saboteur? Well, some think that she may be Bill Foster's daughter, and that the gang's meeting with him isn't just out of a scientific need, but also a need to get the upper hand on the film's villain. Speaking of which, in at number 6, more villains. One theory online speculates that Ghost won't be the only villain to appear in Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is because of the current trend in MCU films to include more than one baddie. Let's take a look at the past few films from the MCU. Infinity War had Thanos and the members of the Black Order, who all had subplots with various Avengers and Guardians characters. Black Panther had Killmonger and Claw. Ragnarok had Hela, the Grandmaster, and Surtur. Spider-Man Homecoming had Vulture, Shocker, and introduced us to Mac Gargan, Scorpion. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 had Ego, the Sovereign, and Taserface. So one main baddie and some supporting baddies. But who will it be? Up next, number 5, S.H.I.E.L.D. We do know that S.H.I.E.L.D. will have a slight presence in the film, despite the organization organization struggled to rebuild itself after news of it being compromised came to light back in Captain America: Winter Soldier. Randall Park will be playing ex-SHIELD agent Jimmy Woo, who is tasked with bringing in Hank Pym, now considered a fugitive. This has led to speculation that Ant-Man and the Wasp will be setting up the return of SHIELD, a theory that was further prompted by the leaked photos of the Avengers 4 set featuring Tony Stark wearing a SHIELD jacket and tactical gear. We can only assume that that's from the present timeline, since he's wearing a device that many think will tie into the potential time travel plotline, but more on that later. Regardless, we know Fury has been working to clean up the mess left by Hydra ever since SHIELD fell, before he got dusted. And the resurgence of someone else who has ties to SHIELD promises that we'll at least be getting a better insight into the state of the organization during our present timeline. Up next, number 4, Doctor Strange. If you recall from Infinity War, there was a moment on Titan where Doctor Strange looked into the future and saw 14,605 futures where our heroes fought Thanos, with only one future being where they were victorious. Many have believed that this implied the battle where they fought Thanos in Infinity War, you know, all the fighting that took place in that movie, and that instead the long game could be won. But that meant losing this time around, hence why he made sure to keep Tony Stark alive. While the theories surrounding Strange's reasoning for this are just as abundant as the Ant-Man and the Avengers 4 theories, for this video we're going to be looking at a specific theory that ties Stephen Strange to Scott Lang. It speculates that Doctor Strange will be making an appearance as an astral projection in Ant-Man and the Wasp, in order to set up Scott and Hope's role in the Avengers 4 film. Fans of this theory think that he may have had time to communicate with them in that way prior to Thanos showing up on Titan, or at least he left instructions with Wong to pass on to the tiny heroes if things went sour. Now we know that Strange is capable of creating duplicates of himself, so surely the possibility of this occurring isn't in impossible territory. Perhaps bringing Scott and Tony together is the key to saving humanity, and maybe that's what Strange saw when he looked into the future. In our number 3 spot, time travel. Perhaps the most popular Ant-Man theory circulating the interwebs isn't actually about the Ant-Man and the Wasp film. Rather, it's about the upcoming 4th Avengers film and how the Quantum Realm, introduced in the first Ant-Man movie, will come into play in order to defeat Thanos. The Quantum Realm, as we've mentioned, is a reality where all concepts of time and space become irrelevant, according to Hank Pym. The second film's trailer has shown us that Pym has managed to get a better understanding of the Quantum Realm now that Scott has paid it a quick visit, and many see this as the key for how the Avengers will reverse what Thanos did in Infinity War, by using it to travel back in time. Photos of the Avengers 4 set have leaked, featuring Paul Rudd in his Ant-Man costume, but during the Battle of New York, something that would not have been possible since, according to the timeline, he became Ant-Man way after that battle went down. The members of the Avengers are also sporting some interesting tech on their hands, something that could be some sort of regulator device. For most though, the biggest question mark of this theory is how Captain Marvel will play into the story. Now, the quantum physicist consultant for Marvel Studios, Spiros Mikalakis, told Inverse in an interview that Ant-Man and the Wasp will be essential when it comes to understanding how the quantum realm works in the Captain Marvel film, which is the movie to be released right after, along with how it will give, I quote, a better understanding of Carol Danvers and her place in the MCU. He went on to say that, "This is exciting for the future. There are different ways that some of these ideas appear on screen in a few years, not just for Ant-Man but also for Captain Marvel and all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So perhaps her powers will be the missing component needed to allow for time travel." Side note, if you want more details about this theory, be sure to check out our video Can Ant-Man Time Travel? It outlines a lot of what we know so far concerning the leaked photos from the set of the 4th Avengers film, and how those may play into the time travel theory as opposed to the theory that those flashback scenes were part of Tony's barf technology. Up next, number 2, Cassie Lang. Back in April, it was confirmed that Emma Furman would be playing Scott Lang's daughter Cassie in the 4th Avengers film, but the actress who played his daughter in the first Ant-Man film and the upcoming sequel is Abby Ryder Fortson. Furman is actually 6 years older than Fortson, which has prompted some speculation about when the 4th Avengers film will occur. Others think that her age difference will be because of a different reason involving the Quantum Realm in the Ant-Man sequel. Will Cassie end up in the Quantum Realm because of something gone terribly wrong? Ghost, the main villain of the film, has ties to the Quantum Realm as well, causing some to speculate that Ghost may kidnap Cassie, forcing Lang out of his house arrest, breaking the law to help the Pyms once more. And last but not least, in at number 1, going back to the past. This one is a bit of a beast. Recently, Evangeline Lilly let some important information slip about the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie during an interview, comparing the film's plot to that of Lost, the hit television series that she starred in prior. Fans of Lost may remember the way that the show played with timelines, which majorly impacted how the series ended, and time travel is what solved a lot of the major plot points. She said, I quote, "When I heard about Infinity War and the direction that they're heading, I did have this moment of realizing, oh wow, there's a bit of deja vu for me with the Lost franchise. We're hitting that Lost Season 4 space where everything's about to shift, and you're about to lose the solid ground underneath you. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, of course, will play a part in that. Those characters are experts in the quantum realm, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, they are trying everything in their power to safely enter the quantum realm and return back from it because they have evidence from the first film that Scott Lang was able to do that. If he can do it, why can't we? If we succeed in Ant-Man and the Wasp, then that does open up a whole entire new multiverse to enter into and play around in. I'm not the story creator, so I can't tell you what they're going to do with that, but I definitely see the potential there. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. This has led fans to speculate that traveling to alternate timelines will be a prominent plot point in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and perhaps this is what brings Janet back, rather than a rescue mission in the quantum realm itself. As Hank Pym noted, she would have only continued to shrink and shrink for eternity, so the chances of them being able to actually find her in the quantum realm seems less likely than altering time, that is. In case you forgot, Janet entered the quantum realm in the late 80s while on a mission with Hank, sacrificing her life to save the world. If this does happen though, this will open up a whole other Pandora's box. If they go back to the past to alter events and save Janet, what consequences will that have on the future? And will those consequences affect Captain Marvel, whose film occurs in the 90s, only a handful of years after Janet disappeared initially in the quantum realm? Now, if this goes down, perhaps the way that the gang saves Janet is by ensuring that she has an enlarging regulator, making it sure that she will be able to exit the quantum realm, which inevitably leads to Hank and Janet being able to study the quantum realm and know a whole lot more about it by the time that Carol Danvers pops up, which then could lead to time travel revelations. And that's also reason to believe that the Captain Marvel that Nick Fury contacts at the end of Infinity War actually isn't Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, but instead Jude Law's Mar-Vell. Could that alteration of the timelines actually lead to Carol Danvers getting her powers, considering we already know that the MCU plans on taking liberties with her origin story? Now, all that being said, we do know that there will be scenes that take place in the 80s. Both Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer have been spotted donning 80s wardrobe. So hey, who knows? Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these theories do you think is the most plausible? Do you have your own fan theory you want to share with us? Give us a shout about all of your thoughts and feels in those comments below. Now, if you dug this video, please spread the love by hitting those like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to take a look at the playlist we currently have up on your screen for more nerdy goodness. In the meantime, thanks for watching everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.